Our CAGI members get full press credentials as representatives of the intelligence gathering process of the hour of the time. Press credentials. Legitimate full press credentials. All of this, folks, and much, much more. Our members can purchase tapes of this radio broadcast for only $5 per tape. $5 plus postage and handling. Anybody else who's not a member, it's $15 per tape. Our videotapes that we produce, $30 for CAGI members plus postage and handling, $45 plus postage and handling for anybody else. Doesn't matter who you are. From time to time, we will have other special offers for our CAGI members only. No one else. No one else gets these special rates, these discounts, and no one else will have access to some of the other things that we're going to offer CAGI members at all. In other words, they won't even be entitled to them no matter how much money they have. From time to time, we set out on expeditions to attempt to investigate and substantiate or disprove certain phenomena that happen in this country. We also plan to have a convention once a year where only CAGI members will be allowed to come. We'll have special speakers, we'll socialize, we'll get to know each other, and disseminate information on a large scale. Believe me, folks, it's the best money that you've ever spent if you're interested in saving this country, freedom, saving the Constitution. If you're interested in learning, if you want to find out hidden information that you can't get anywhere else, you'll always get it on this broadcast. You also need to read my book, Behold a Pale Horse. It's 500 pages of the most suppressed information ever published in the history of the world in one book. 500 pages of the most well-documented suppressed information ever published in the history of the world. And I've been told that by experts, folks who know, with a very extensive and thick appendix. Documents in there that you would never get to see anywhere else except in my book, Behold a Pale Horse. Now, if you'd like to join CAGI, send $45. That's the membership fee. $45 to William Cooper, P.O. Box 3299, Camp Verde, Arizona, 86322. That's P.O. Box 3299, Camp Verde, Arizona, 86322. Now, if you'd like to order my book, Behold a Pale Horse, we still have some at the old price for everybody. $20 plus $4 postage and handling. That's $20 plus $4 postage and handling to the same address, P.O. Box 3299, Camp Verde, Arizona, 86322. $24 for the book includes postage and handling, $45 for your CAGI membership. Now, if you'd just like to call Stan and ask him to send you a list of available materials, or you'd just like to talk to Stan, who is my only authorized representative at this time, folks, call him at 602-567-6109. That's 602-567-6109. Ask him to send you a list of available materials, or if you just want to chat with Stan, that's fine. But make sure you do not call him tonight. If you do, all you'll get is an answering machine, folks. So call him tomorrow morning during the daytime, during normal waking hours, and Stan will be happy to talk to you. You'll find that he's a wonderful, wonderful man. He's helped me out a lot in the last few years that I've been doing this. We have been working together for a long time. I've learned to trust, admire, respect, and love Stan and Elma very, very much. So don't hesitate to call, but please call during the daylight hours. Well, it's time to get back to our interview with Mr. Dave Duffy, editor and publisher of Backwoods Home magazine. I bet all of my listeners out there wondering what in the world this is really all about. Well, folks, you're hearing what it's really all about. This is not an advertisement. I really am a person who I don't plug anything, and I don't put anything out on my show. And you know that I don't sell advertising. I invited Dave Duffy on this show because I think Backwoods Home magazine is probably one of the best magazines that anyone in this world could ever subscribe to. We're going to get into some other things, too. We were just talking about what's good for the country, and one of the things that I really like about Dave Duffy and Backwoods Home magazine are his editorials, and his articles are not always about how to build a home or how to become self-sufficient or how to can food. In this last issue, there's an interview with Andre Moreau, who's the Libertarian candidate for president in this coming election. And Dave Duffy has written an awful lot of editorials on the Constitution and what's happening to this country, and he's a great supporter of the second article and amendment to the Constitution, and you all know that I am also. In fact, we've done several whole shows just on that subject here. Dave, if people want to subscribe to your magazine, how do they do it?
Well, it's $17.95 a year. We're published every other month, so 6 issues a year. They can just send a check or money order or cash, we're not fussy, to 1257 Siskiyou Boulevard. That's S, like in Sam, I-S-K-I-Y-O-U, Box 213, Ashland, Oregon. That's A-S-H-L-A-N-D, and the zip is 97520.
Okay, you heard that, folks.
If they want to call it in, they can too. It's area 503-488-2053. We don't take MasterCard or Visa, but we just enter you into the database and send you a bill. That's
great. Yearly subscription, 6 issues, $17.95, and you send that to Backwoods Home Magazine, 1257 Siskiyou Boulevard, S-I-S-K-I-Y-O-U Boulevard, number 213, Ashland, Oregon, 97520. And if you don't want to do that, you can just call them. They'll put you into the computer and send you a bill. The number is 503-488-2053. Now, if you're running around looking for a pencil and paper, you know that you're always supposed to have one by your side when you listen to this show. So,
Bill, if they put on their order that they heard about the magazine through the Bill Cooper Show, we'll give them $2 off.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Another good benefit for my listeners, $2 off if you send a check or money order and say that you heard about this magazine on this show, The Hour of the Time. You'll get it for $15.95 instead of $17.95, and that's pretty good.
By the way, just to clarify something for your listeners, there is another magazine sometimes we are confused with which is called Back Home. That's out of North Carolina. It was started by editors let go from Mother Earth News when they folded a year ago. And Mother has since come back, bought by a Briton, but sometimes we get confused with Back Home, which is former Mother Earth editors, so that's not us. We're totally different. We're a year older than them.
Okay. Just remember, folks, this is Backwoods Home Magazine, and it's out of Ashland, Oregon. Dave, tell me a little bit about, it's very unusual for somebody who writes magazines, who publishes magazines like you're publishing, to have the political viewpoint that you do. Can you tell me a little bit about your political viewpoint, some of the editorials that you've written, and why you do this? I know you come under a little flack from some of your readers because I see in the letters section.
Well, you got to start from the point that of all the country magazines out there, I would guess 9 out of 10, maybe a higher percentage, maybe 99%, are written by people who are very, quote, environmentally aware. Mm-hmm. Their political philosophy tends to lean quite far to the left. I won't name any magazines because that probably wouldn't be fair to them.
No, we don't want to badmouth anybody unless they can be here to.
My political philosophy started out, like all young men, as a liberal from Boston, and as I learned how the world really operated, I became much more conservative, and probably I'm even more libertarian now. But basically, I believe in the founding fathers had it right from the beginning. That this is they wanted to form a country that had very limited government and very maximum freedoms. And we had that country for years and years and years. But over the past 100 years or so, especially accelerating over the past, say since the 30s when we hit the Depression, we've had a country with far fewer freedoms. The federal government has virtually all the power in the country, and in another 20 years, if we keep electing Republicans, I think they'll have all the power. Right now, they have to fight the drug war. They can stop you at the airport, and if they're dog sniffers, smell drug residue on some money you have, and almost half of money in this country must have drug residue on it. A lot of businessmen carry a couple $1,000 to buy something.
Well, don't they use dollar bills to roll up to snort coke? Of course,
the government can confiscate that money without due process. It's up to you to get it back. There's so much federal government intrusion and local government intrusion into our private lives. It makes the country totally unlike what the country used to be. Even 50 years ago. But especially what our founding fathers envisioned it. My magazine is political on one page. I have a 100-page magazine. One of my pages is editorial. The other 99 are how-to. Politics usually does not invade it. But on my one page, I'm a very firm constitutionalist. I think federal government should back off. I think taxes should be cut. I think the private enterprise should be given a chance to put the country back on its feet, because we know the government has failed horribly. I think people should be allowed to, if they want, educate their own children, because the public school system has failed horribly. And I just think we should get back to good old American values, and you can read the writings of Thomas Jefferson, Madison, Paine, a lot of people, George Washington, the founder of the country, see what they thought. They would be horrified to see a George Bush and a Bill Clinton running for president. I don't see any choice out there. A guy like Andre Marou, who represents a libertarian, I'm not trying to give a plug to libertarian, but that just happens to be a party that believes government should shrink to the point where its sole duty is to protect the citizens from foreign invasion and from them harming each other. It doesn't believe that the federal government, as Republicans and Democrats do, should invade every facet of our lives, tell us how to raise our children, tax the businesses to the point where it's hard for small business to do business because he's paying so much of his revenue to the government.
Well, I believe that's intentional to force small business out of business.
It's doing in California is they had a survey, I guess, in the LA Times a year and a half ago, and the survey showed that 1/4 of all businesses in California is making active plans to move out of the state. States like Arizona and Colorado were actively courting them, saying, hey, we have lower taxes here. California's unemployment rate is starting to go through the roof. 5 years from now, or 7 years from now, when the unemployment rate really goes through the roof, the politicians in California will be saying, gee, there's a problem here. Tax businesses, tax the rich. By the rich, they mean anybody who's making over about $40,000 a year, I think. Let's tax all them and get social welfare programs going, and let's get more government programs going, and let's get the federal government to beef up businesses and subsidize this one and that one. In these states like Arizona, when they're saying, hey, we want to give small businesses a chance, those states are going to thrive. If government would just back off and let people do their own thing, create their own wealth, trade as they wish, make a product and not have to tack on all the government taxes, I think the country would pull out of the recession.
Absolutely.
Congress has this incredible deficit right now. Guys like you and I aren't even going to get stuff like Social Security. The people who are getting Social Security now are getting 10 times what they put into it. But by the time, I'm the baby boom, I'm 48. By the time I'm retired, I think it's projected there'll be 4 workers for every retired person. There's simply not enough money. Just run the actuarial table. There's not enough money unless the government decides to inflate the dollar more than they have.
Well, I'm of the opinion that if everybody took what they were paying into Social Security and put it into the lowest yield, interest-bearing account of any kind of investment, even the lowest yield, by the time that they reached retirement age, they would be so well off that they wouldn't even believe it. But if they stay in Social Security, they're not going to get anything. And it is a voluntary program.
You did an article about just what you thought. There is a program out there. We did a two-part series on the national health care system. I forget what issues. They were 4 or 5 issues back. They were by a Canadian, Martin Waterman. He does a lot of my book reviews, and he's been living with the Canadian health care system. So this first article said it doesn't work. It's on the verge of bankruptcy. And he says don't believe what all the politicians are telling you, because it's not going to work in the United States either. And the second article he talked about, What's referred to as the Singapore system I forget the exact name, but it's a retirement account system.